Good morning. Morning. Hey guys, it's Anna Brooks. Hello. All right. You have no idea the level of crazy that's going on back here at the moment. It's like a whole new level of crazy. It took me, I can't even explain how long to get this set up, and literally my tripod right now is like leaning forward precariously on like three legs. And, well, obviously it's a tripod. Okay. So it's leaning forward and it's balancing on my laptop right now, which is the only thing holding all of this up. All right. So I've got something really cool to tell you about today. Really cool, but I'm kind of all over the place. So you're going to have to bear with me for a sec while I share this over. All right. Do. Intermission. Or something like that. All right. Beautiful. All right, we're good to go. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is afternoon here, but as any of my clients know, regardless what time you turn up, it is always morning according to me, right? So now before I tell you about this hilarious inner child, which is really not even my inner child, but me as a child, right? I have to tell you about doing this out of the way. So this is the lip color that I'm currently obsessed with, which is called, I'm not even kidding, I don't know if you can see it. Let me get it to the camera. That says Unicorn Tears. That is the name of the color, which is by Too Faced, right? So this is the color when it comes out. It's like that. It is beautiful. The craziest thing, on the weekend, my husband and I went to my in-laws' house for Easter Sunday lunch, or whatever you call it, snacks, and mother-in-law is wearing the exact same shade of this lipstick as a nail polish. Yeah, we were blown away. Like she was going on about how beautiful my lipstick is. I'm going on about how beautiful her nail polish is, and we're like, oh, this is the exact same shade. It's the exact same shade. So that was pretty fucking awesome, I think. But now I have to track it down. See, I know what lipstick it is, but I don't know what color nail polish it is. Just sad. It's a little bit sad. All right, let me get into it. So the thing I want to talk about with this inner child fun, let me show you my first diary, okay? So it's like one of those ones that's even got like a lock, which I must have broken about 70,000 times. So that's normal. So it doesn't lock properly anymore, right? So I've kept a diary. So this was since I actually wrote this because I wrote like a prologue. I wrote a prologue to my diary, right? Where are we? 11. So I started when I was 11, right? Before that, I don't know. I've been writing ever since I was really young. I've got so many just like random poems all around the place and everything like that. But it was when I was 11 that I actually officially started keeping a diary, right? So, now that is just hilarious on its own. Like I went, because we were at my mum's the other day, and so I picked it up and I thought, okay, I'll go through some of this stuff that I've been keeping. And so I took it home and I actually pretty much read through this entire thing. Like you can see, it's like not huge, right? Like it's huge writing, not big pages or anything. So I took it home and sat on the couch and read it aloud out to my husband. And Oh my God, it was hilarious. Like, if you've ever wondered what the hell were you thinking, oh my God, I hope you've kept a diary, because to just look back at that age and just be like, oh, so that's what I thought, is hilarious. However, there was a deeper meaning behind it, and what brought on this live stream, which was a bit sort of just whatever, it was that I realized a lot of things, kind of about my inner child, but also just kind of about me when I was younger, and the things that I sort of started to, what's the word? There's that word where you make it politically correct. Censor, yeah. Where you kind of where I kind of basically started censoring myself, right? So I always thought for a very long time that I just don't like swearing. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. And I didn't swear at all in my adult life, right, for a while. And obviously now, I do. But the funny thing was to look back on into my diary and actually read through it and realize that from that very young age, I was swearing like a trooper. It wasn't, to a ridiculous amount, but it was clearly in my vocabulary. I was clearly very passionate. I was clearly very aware of what's going on. And so I would just be swearing, right? And it was one of those things that I obviously must have filtered out and censored out of my life further on, because I believed a particular way that I should be seen, or a way that I should be portrayed, which I saw as more of like a sort of an elegance or a class or something like that, which I thought, well, if you're swearing, you're not doing that, right? And if you read through, like, even from, I don't know, I was like 11, 12, something like that, and reading through here, and I was just going nuts. I was using a lot of the more tame words as well, because I was still young, but it was definitely creeping through, and definitely more so and more so. But one other thing that I picked up on was a recurring theme around, and this became really interesting, because this is something that came up in one of my kinesiology appointments, and even though what came up was from a younger age, I could already see now, looking back through the diary, how that was very much a prominent sort of position in my life, where I would very consciously and very deliberately speak, act in a particular way so as to be perceived in a particular way, right? And this was from a very young age. Like, there's an entry in here from a while ago that was basically along the lines of, well, I know that this is what I need to do. So basically, I'm just going to pretend, I'm just going to act like everything's fine, I'm just going to do this. And there was that real sense of constant control over the way that I was perceived, over the way that my actions were perceived, and over the way that I could manipulate and, engage with others, right? So it was a very conscious thing, and I think it stemmed from my upbringing and not having much money and having very strict parents and that kind of thing, that I was very aware that I was therefore not going to be seen as cool, because I couldn't do all the stuff that the cool kids could do in terms of the freedoms. I had to very much lie and manipulate my parents to get there, and then lie and manipulate everyone else and all that kind of stuff. And it was very much that perception straight away from a very young age of, I have to be very controlled. I have to be really careful of how I present myself. And I think that was partially where my diary, I just let loose. Like, the stuff that I wrote in there is literally just my thoughts, unfiltered, uncensored, or whatever. But it was all very much ending up at the point of, well, this is how I'm going to now be censored. This is how I'm now going to be perceived. This is how I'm now going to choose my actions very carefully, so that that's what is coming across, right? And it was really interesting to read through. And also, like I said, very funny just to listen to the mindset that I had back then and the things that were stressing me out at the time. All the old school kind of, if you're a girl growing up, you would understand this, how you have like a best friend one day, and then the next day you have another friend, and you decide that you're not talking to that person anymore, but then by the end of the day, you're best friends again, and like you just basically decide your best friend from day to day, based on who's cool. So that kind of stuff, that was hilarious. But there was definitely that recurring kind of theme and that kind of, I guess, connection that was just, well, I have to be really controlled. I have to make sure that the things I say, the way I act, the way I speak, the way I present myself to the world basically is going to get me the results that I want, right? And it was very, very deliberate. And it was, I think at that age, from that age, really not a great position to be in. Basically, I would not recommend it for someone of that young age to have this awareness and this idea that they have to be very careful about everything that they do, every word they say, everything that they do, because they have to present themselves in a particular way. And it becomes dangerous because the older you get, the more you step into that persona and it becomes natural. You forget that this was all just a game when you were a kid and that it's all about trying to have control over, your friends or the boys or whatever it was. You forget that it all started off as just a game and just some fun and just to see basically how much you could trigger people and how much fun you could have, innocently, like nobody was getting hurt by it. It was, well, okay, not like serious hurt, like little emotional hurts, like, I don't want to be your friend today, or you're not cool today, or whatever it was. It wasn't anything serious, but you grow up and you've just been in that pattern for so long that you forget what you were doing it for in the first place. You forget that was there as a mechanism to protect you from being basically shunned and put down and made fun of because you were different or because you were poor or you were whatever. And so you had to just put on this persona so that people didn't pick on you for that, right? But by that stage, you're older and you've forgotten that that's what it was all about in the first place. And so you're sort of in this position where you're going, well, I'm still pretending. I'm still trying so hard to control how I'm seen. I'm still so aware of the fact that I'm putting on this persona, even though I'm not, pretending it and I'm not trying to do it to fit in anymore. It's just part of who I am now. Even as I got to the stage where I stopped caring what other people thought and I stopped caring, who approved of me and who didn't and who liked me and who didn't. It's that tactic, that behavior sticks with you, right? Because it's ingrained in you. So even if it has no real use, it had a use when I was young, right? It had a use to protect me from, being made fun of and being made to feel like a loser and that kind of stuff. So it had that mechanism. That was a defense mechanism when I was younger. But once I got older, I didn't need that anymore, but it was already ingrained in me, right? And so looking back at your inner childhood, right? Your inner child, but this obviously stems from your childhood, about having a look at, well, what patterns did I pick up when I was young? What defense mechanisms did I set up for things that I went through, whether it was, even if it wasn't serious trauma, like that wasn't, I consider the fact that obviously we came from an immigrant family and that kind of thing, that it was tougher than it was for other people, but we weren't by any means like on the street or anything like that. So whether it was, a serious trauma or whether it was just something that you developed because of a way that you basically believed things were happening to you, right? And as a kid, you see things very differently. You don't see things the way you do as an adult. You're not as logical. So there will be things that you're going to see that you're going to say that like, oh, okay, well, that doesn't really make sense now. But at the time in your head, it did, right? And so it's worth having a look and going, okay, well, what behaviors right now am I still exhibiting that I don't need anymore, that I could have let go of, that I really need to let go of because they're not serving me. If anything, they're hurting me. But they were so ingrained in me that I never really thought to get rid of them. They just felt natural, right? They felt like something that you'd grown up with for a really long time. Some part of me wishes that I'd planned this a little bit better, so I could have found like the really, really particularly hilarious pages to actually read out to you, because yeah, I feel like that's something I need to do. Let me know if you would like a live reading of oh my God, I'm cracking myself up. Let me know if you would like a live reading of my diary from somewhere in that age 11 to 14 range. I've got other ones, obviously, but they're a little bit more intense when I get older. But definitely, 11 to 14, I was still in primary school at that age. I was still in primary school until I was, oh no. Ooh, that's about to die. Hope my phone's not about to die. It's okay. Let me turn that off. Yeah, so it would have been like, woo! I forgot that the laptop was the thing holding this up. Oh my gosh, okay. I think that's a sign that I need to go and compose myself because this is, yeah, it's turning out to be interesting. All right, so let me know. Give me some likes, give me some comments if you would like me to do a live reading from this diary at some stage, and I'll get back on the live stream and do it once I've got like the tripod actually holding, as opposed to me holding it now because I forgot the laptop was holding it up. So let me know if you'd like me to do that, and I will work out like the best ones, the best, most hilarious pages, and I will do a live reading for you of that. In the meantime though, I highly recommend, if you don't have a diary from that age, which is fine, most people don't, I don't think. If you do, I really recommend go through it because it's eye-opening. I haven't looked at this stuff for probably about a decade at least, if not more. It's eye-opening. If you don't have a diary, it comes down to just thinking back to that age, like, when you were a child or when you were slightly a teenager or whatever it is, and just going, okay, well, what kind of beliefs and what kind of behaviors and what kind of mechanisms for dealing with whatever your childhood or teenagehood was like did I develop at that point that served me really well at the time because it got me through what I needed to get through. But now that I'm an adult, now that I'm done with that part, I'm still going in the same patterns. I'm still doing the same stuff and running these routines and these patterns in my daily life and in my head, but I don't need them anymore. And if anything, they're actually hindering me from what I want, right? So for me, like it was about the perception thing, about just being so careful and so controlled about how I'm perceived, how people view me, the way that I interact with people, the way I speak, the way I am, all that kind of stuff. And gradually, like I said, I would swear like a trooper through my diary, and then I would start filtering that. As soon as it was in front of someone, I would stop because it was not the way that I wanted to be perceived, right? So it's very dangerous because unfortunately there's some mechanisms that you develop, some more serious than others. But if you're powerful enough, and I dare say that if you are listening to this, you probably relate to me on, quite a few levels. And one of them is probably that you are a very strong person, a very strong-willed, very persistent, very powerful presence. Like even if you're not trying to, you tend to be the exuding force in the room or whatever it is, right? So when you're like that, you're very powerful towards yourself as well, which means anything that you set your mind to, even unconsciously, you make happen in shitloads. And that's why you're such a powerful manifester, right? But as you probably have realized, you can also manifest to yourself a lot of shit because you're so powerful that if you allow yourself to get into that mindset of just being in a lack or scarcity or crap or whatever it is mindset, you can attract so much shit to yourself in such a short period of time. Let me know, have you ever done this? Have you ever just one moment you get like a bill that you weren't expecting and you just suddenly just feel really and really, how am I going to manage this? I don't have enough money. I don't really know what I'm doing anyway, and this isn't really good and this isn't really good, and before you know it, you've gotten like 3 more bills. Your car's broken down, your boss has cut your hours, like whatever. You just magically managed to manifest all of this extra shit on top because of what you've done, okay? Have you ever done that? If you have, then you know what I'm talking about, and that means that you are a very powerful manifester. And if you've ever done it in the reverse, something that my husband and I do all the time is we'll go somewhere and we do the car park thing. Have you done this car park thing before where you go to a busy shopping center or whatever, but before you drive in, you already set the intention that, okay, I know it's busy. I know there's no car spots. I know everybody's fighting over car spots. but I'm going to get a car spot. It's just there. It's there for me. You trust it. You believe it. You know, manifest it all the way to yourself, and you can get really good at that. And my husband was shocked the first time he got in the car when we were still dating, and I did this. We went to one of the busiest shopping centers, and he's like, "Nah, screw it. I'll go park on the street. You're never going to get a spot." And I just looked at him funny and went, "Of course I am. I'm going to get one right near the door. I always do. There's always a spot there." And we turned up, drove in, and sure enough, as soon as, like, there was literally 3 or 4 cars driving past, as soon as they passed, I know I was the next one lined up. There it is. Spot opened up. Someone drove out. And my husband, boyfriend at the time, just was in shock. But that was the first moment that he was like, holy shit, you can just like magic stuff. You can ask for things and they just happen and they just appear, right? And to me, it was just so obvious. Like, I thought that was something everybody knew and everybody did, right? It turns out it's not. Turns out it's not. It turns out that it is people like us who are very powerful, who are very strong, very persistent, very in control of their own power that have the ability to do this. But like I said, if you have this power, you are so powerful to also use it against yourself, which means that you are going to very likely, when you get yourself into a shit mood, into a bad state, you can attract so much crap at yourself so fucking quickly that it will make your head spin. And it will make your head spin, and it'll make you burst into tears how you went from having like a perfectly normal good day to getting like one bill that you didn't expect, and then by the end of the day, your whole world is literally caving in. Like, you're just, bills coming out everywhere, shit's falling apart, nothing works, you put on a kilo, whatever it is, like everything, just shit hits the fan so quickly. If you've ever done that before, then you, my friend, my darling, are a really powerful fucking manifester. And that's awesome, but you need to use your mind. You need to use those powers to your advantage and not to hurt yourself, because that's quite easy to do, unfortunately. So, like I said, go back. If you've got a diary, go read it. If you've got it from, whenever you were a kid or even teenager or whatever it was, and have a look at the patterns, all the stuff that you set into place for dealing with different things, whatever sort of defense mechanisms you set up, or just ways that patterns of thinking that you had. Like, for me, it was that pattern of, I just have to control how everybody sees me. I have to control how I act, how I'm seen, what I say, how I say it, like all that kind of stuff. I have to be really, really precise about it. And then look back on whatever it is and go, okay, well, that's cool. That helped me at that point in time, but am I still doing it now, and do I still need it, or is it actually holding me back? Because for the longest time, and this is an ongoing thing for me, unfortunately, but I am working through it. It was something that held me back so much. I had this idea of how I have to look perfect at every single moment, and I have to put on this particular energy and this particular vibe and whatever it is. And it's just, like, don't get me wrong, I am very high vibe. I am very energetic. I am very happy. That's all real. That's all me. But that doesn't mean I don't get the other shit. And that was what I was hiding. I was just hiding as if I've never gone through anything difficult, as if I've never had pain. It was always, and you can see this like in my diaries, even from the older age, it was very much every time someone hurt me, there was a very descriptive page of what happened. And then straight away on the next page, it's like, right, well, I just have to get over it. I have to move on from it. This guy isn't worth it. I just have to just move on from it now. And that's it. And that's it. And I'm done. And I'm done. And I'm done. I'm done. And the scary thing is that I did it for so long that it got real. I got very good at switching things off, right? But I didn't get very good at actually dealing with the stuff that was going on underneath. I got really good at compartmentalizing and at just shutting everything off, but not very good at actually dealing with stuff underneath. So have a think back through your childhood, through your teenagehood, whatever it is, and look for some patterns. Look for thought patterns, action patterns, behavioral patterns, ways of dealing with things that maybe at the time didn't seem too unhealthy. But that looking back, you're like, yeah, okay, there was probably a better way to deal with that. And assess. Are you still there now? Are you still using those mechanisms now? You might be. And do you need them? Do you need them anymore, or are they actually hindering you? And if you do still need them, if you're still dealing with that stuff, well, maybe it's worth looking at a different way of dealing with it. Whether it's, something you think of yourself, or whether it's getting a coach, getting a mentor, someone to talk to work through it, or whatever it is. But there's a good chance that if you were doing this like 10, 20, whatever years ago, and it's hurting you and it's still hurting you, and therefore you still haven't worked through it, then there's a good chance that coming up with a different mechanism, a different strategy, excuse me, then there's a good chance that coming up with a different strategy to deal with this now would probably be a good idea before you do it for another 5 years, another 10 years, another 15 years, right? All right. Okay, now I remember why I was laughing. I just randomly came across a page. It was great. So. It is totally up to you. If you want me to do a live animated, I will make it animated. I will channel my inner 12-year-old, a live reading of me and my diary from the ages of 11 to 14. If you would like me to do this on a further live stream, please let me know, comment below, and I will be sure to let you know when I do that. If you have any other questions, any questions about, or any thoughts, I'd love to know what you think about today's live stream and what I've spoken about. Please, I'd love for you to comment and let me know what you think and what has come up for you if you want to share. Otherwise, private message me. That's fine as well. Cool. All right. So I was meant to go like 10 minutes ago, and then I got off on a tangent, as I usually do. But I am actually going to properly go this time. Okay. But before I go, I have to tell you, and I've been so slack because if you're on my email list, you will know that I did like a flash sale over Easter for one of my programs, right? So that's all done. If you're not on my email list, definitely need to get onto that. I will pop a link down below for you for one of the free gifts that you can sign up for, and then you can get on the email list as well, and that means you'll get like all of the sales, all of the cool stuff, all of the everything that's happening. You get all my content very quickly and delivered straight to your inbox. So if you're not on the email list yet, make sure you get on. I'm going to pop the link down below just after this. But yes, so I did the flash sale over the weekend, and therefore I got really slack and didn't get this. Stop computer. I didn't get going on the abundance mindset training, which is something that I really, really, really cannot wait to do. And I've been putting it off. So that is coming up very shortly, I promise. I will get that done very soon. And then that I will let you know all about that. It's going to be a training all about mindset for abundance, how to get out of scarcity, how to get out of lack, how to start manifesting and attracting the kind of wealth and abundance that you really want. And it's specific, it's very specific. It's very specifically designed for people just like you and me. If you're not like me, then you're probably not going to get this, and therefore, stop listening now, I guess. Everything's dying on me. Okay, all right, I'll finish, I promise. So for people who are very high energy, type A, crazy personality, so type A personality, just very driven, very motivated, very push type people. If that is you, this training is exactly 100% like completely for you. That is exactly what this is for. And that's exactly me, right? If you are in the habit of overachieving and just over pushing and overdoing everything, then not letting it all fall apart because you're just too fucking on, right? If that is you, this is the abundance and the mindset training for you, for how to actually allow abundance and wealth to come to you when you are this type of person, because sometimes it can feel like no matter how hard you chase, no matter how hard you push, no matter how hard you commit the fuck and consistency and just show the fuck up over and over and over, it's like, but where is it? Where is it, right? So if this is speaking to you, then stay tuned. I'm going to get this up really, really soon for you, I promise. And I'll let you know about that. And there will be definitely a killer early bird offer a pre-launch offer, so make sure you get onto it when it's pre-launch, like obviously. All right, I think that's everything. Again, let me know if you have any questions or comments. If you want me to do a live reading of my diary from the ages of 11 to 14, please let me know that as well. And yes, I will talk to you guys soon. Okay, bye.